Hi, me again. My second video today. I'm sharing another page with the March kit from Clique, and it's based on the March challenge, which goes along with this optional sketch. I'll put a link to the challenge in the description below. So I've gone through and picked up my papers, and I have a photo. And I am going to be working with some cut files from the cut shop today. So when I am working with cut files, what I like to do is kind of design my layout in Silhouette Studio. So I'm going to go through and create a square or a rectangle that is the size of my photo approximately. My photo is about it's about 3 5/8 by 4 5/8 inches, but I just put about 4 3/4 by 3 3/4, and I fill it in with a white background and a black outline. So that is the exact size of my photo, and I like doing this because it helps me gauge the size of the elements that I'm going to cut out, so I know exactly what size they should be. I'm just drawing these lines in here kind of based on the sketch design and where I'm going to plan on putting my pattern paper. So again, this is kind of a loose interpretation of where those lines will be. So these lines I'm not going to actually cut, but I'm just pulling them in to help me kind of eyeball what my design is going to look like. So I'll adjust those a little bit. And then I always right click and bring my photo or the square to the front and bring it forward so that it's on top of all the other elements. There's also a layers tab that you can work with somewhere, or a layers window if you wanted to do that. Okay, so I am opening up this cut file called Oodles of Doodles. Is that the one I used first? Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm using this one first. It's called Graffiti Greetings, and I love how these look like little paint splatters and paint splotches, and with the phrases inside. Super cute. And I'm just going to use this little one that says, "Let's do this." So I have traced it and unclicked the high pass filter to fill it in all yellow, and then hit the trace button. And I went to Object, ungrouped it, and released released Compound Path to get rid of any other little stray kind of pieces that kind of got traced there. So then I just copy and paste it from the file I just had it on onto my kind of design file, and I resize it to fit how I want on my photo. So now I'm going to go back to the other cut file called Oodles of Doodles, and I'm going to use a couple of these doodly designs on my page as well. So I'm going to be working with the cloud little doodle up there, and the hearts, and this little twig. So I'm just going to kind of highlight around that area, and I just will delete everything else that I don't want. So again, I'm just selecting the area I want to trace, unclicking the high pass filter, which should fill in everything yellow, and hitting trace. Then I delete the original file. I click on the file and go to, oops, I have to click on it first, go to Release Compound Path, and then when you do that, all the little lines ungroup from each other, and so you kind of have to regroup them. So what I do is I just highlight them, the ones that I want together. So all the little cloud lines I highlight together, and then I go down to the bottom left and hit group. So that's what I'm doing here with the leaves. So all those little inside pieces of the leaves are separate right now, so I have to highlight them all, and the same thing with the heart here. All those pieces are different different lines, and you have to group them together. And then I'm just going to delete all the rest. And then I'm just going to copy and paste these one at a time into the design page that I'm working on. So let's go back there. So I'll paste the clouds up there, and again I'll just play around with the size until I get them how I want. I didn't speed this part up. because I have done a couple videos before showing how I use cut files, and I've gotten a few comments where people have said, "You're going too fast, I don't really know what you're doing." So I slowed this part down to its normal speed so you can actually see what I'm doing here and how I'm tracing the files and how I'm copying and pasting them over onto my kind of design page. So I've just, and by the way, when I am copying and pasting, I'm using keyboard shortcuts. So what I'm doing is hitting Control C for copy and Control V for paste. I don't go up and hit edit, copy and edit paste. I just hit Control C and Control V. It's very helpful if you can learn some of your keyboard shortcuts for copy and paste and select all and print and undo. It's much, much quicker than having to go up to the toolbar each time. Okay, so I got those leaves kind of arranged how I want. I'm going to bring this back out to the front. And I decided I want to put, oh, I got to get this heart over there too. So I'm going to copy and paste that and drag that up. It's a little too big, going to shrink it down just a tiny bit. And then I decided I wanted to do one more kind of little branch, leafy branch. So I will go back to the Oodles Doodles page here, I think. Maybe do I? Or no, maybe I'm done. Oh yeah, I'm done. So, okay, after I get the design all done, then what I do is I want to cut these all at once. And I know I'm going to cut them out of different papers. So I kind of just place them in 4 different corners of the cutting mat area. And I'll cut the paper to size. So for example, like the little heart, you can see it fits in the 3x3 kind of grid. So I'll cut a 3x3 piece of paper, you know, maybe pink. And then the cloud, I'll cut, you know, maybe a 5x3, is that 5? 5? Yeah, 5x3 piece of paper. And, you know, put a different colored piece of pattern paper up there so that I can cut them all at one time instead of cutting each file individually. Okay, so I got my cutting mat out, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do here with this piece of paper off to the right that has kind of those paint blocks on it. Right now I'm taking off all the little scraps of paper that were left on my cutting mat from the last file I cut, which I don't even remember what it was. But so I'm cutting out these blocks. I liked this piece of paper for this reason because it had all these different colors and different shades of blues and greens, and it was perfect if you had you know, a certain size image that you wanted to cut from a cut file. So I'll place all these in the corners you know, at the same time I'm doing this, I'm kind of looking at my screen, my computer screen, and gauging, you know, the correct size of the piece of paper I need for the cut files that I want to cut out. And then I will go ahead and go through and cut this. What am I doing now? Oh yeah, I just get one more piece of white paper because I want to cut a white branch too. So I have gone through and cut it with on my machine, and there they are. And I love these cuts. I especially love those phrase cuts, the graffiti cuts there. Those are really super cool. And I kind of like how that green looks on that purple, looking at it from here. But I don't end up using the purple, but I love that contrast. It's really cool. Okay, so got those all cut out, and now it's time to start arranging them on my page. So I already, as we saw, I already kind of knew the design that I was going for, and I'm basing it on the sketch for the challenge. So I'm going to cut the pattern papers I picked out to fit the design of the page, and I'm cutting this one with my scissors because the angle was too long to fit underneath my rotary cutter without like scrunching up the paper a little bit. So I just cut it with my scissors, and I don't even know if it's straight, but I don't even care. It's straight enough. And then I'm going to arrange all these pieces just like I had them in the Silhouette Studio. So that is kind of the groundwork for my page. Oops, had a little camera incident there. I've set my camera a little bit lower to be closer to my page, and I hit it with my head all the time whenever I bend over. So it's right at head height. So I got to do something about that. But anyway, I slid this other piece of kind of black and white pattern paper behind the background instead of the white to see if I liked that. But I changed my mind. I thought when you stood back from that black and white pattern paper, it looked kind of gray, and it took away from the gray of it made the photo kind of blurry. It didn't make the photo stand out well. So, you had seen there maybe I had fussy cut out one of those leaf frames. You can see that pattern paper off to the right a little bit that has all those little frames of the circle frames of the wreaths of leaves. I had fussy cut one out, didn't like it, and then I thought I was going to use these words. I fussy cut some of these out from the pattern paper. I liked the thought of this, the delightfully good day. I liked, I kind of like the colors. I decided that the word delightfully was too dark, and I didn't really like the navy there. So I'm going to skip that idea and figure out something else. So I know I'm going to keep my pattern papers there, so I'm going to go ahead and glue those down. And my glue was clogged, and then I squeezed too hard and then got a huge glob of glue. What a waste on my paper. So I have to scrape it all off, and I add some with my finger to the other piece of pattern paper that I have to glue down, but oh my gosh, what a mess. And then my fingers were sticky the whole rest of this time, but oh well. My glue's unclogged, I guess. So I wanted to add something behind the photo and on the white. And I decided to add something pink. And I knew I had pink acrylic paint that was the perfect color pink. I added a little bit of white to make it a little bit lighter pink. But I didn't have really any mists or gelatos or anything that was the shade of pink I wanted. So I really wanted to work with the paint. So I am kind of just mixing it with my finger here because I'm being kind of lazy. And gonna just smush it on. I do go back with a little bit of water and a gelato here in a few minutes to kind of blend it in a little bit better. But I know most of this area right now is going to be covered by my photo. So that's why I know it looks like a big pink blob, but most of it is going to be covered by my photo and that little phrase I die cut. So I'm not really worried about kind of the middle. I actually like to blob it in the middle where my photo is going to go first, because if there's too much paint on there, at least that part will go under my photo, and you won't really, see it too much. So it gets kind of not as thick as you move out towards the edges. So that's why I always blob under where my photo will go first. I did spray a little bit of the white dilution spray here just to kind of soften up some of the pink on the edges. And then I found, I went with this pink gelato. It's not the exact shade of pink that I wanted. It's more, you can tell, like a little bit more peachy pink, but it's just to soften up the edges a little bit. And there is a tiny bit of peach in some of those trees. It's kind of a little peach tint, but again, just to add a little bit more, I think adding a similar but different shade of a color adds a little bit more depth to the painted area. So, and I added a few splatters. I let that dry, and then I went through with some teal splatters as well that kind of picked up the teal in the pattern paper. So once that was all dry, I kind of liked how that paint helped ground that photo there. I'm going to go through and add some paper to the background to make my photo pop, and that black and white printed paper did just that. And then to kind of also help soften against that pink background and kind of tone it down a little bit more, I loved using these ThermoWeb mixed media interfacing sheets. So it's just kind of like a tissue paper or an interfacing kind of fabric type of feel, and it really just helps soften the edges a little bit. And then a little piece of blue paper as well to kind of pick up on the blue in the clouds. Okay, so I've got my layers done. I'm kind of happy with that. I really, really like the black and white against all these kind of pastel colors. I think it really helps draw your eye over there to the photo. I am going to cut out a heart here. Again, very similar colors, and I'm just going to layer it over my die cut heart. And then I was trying to find something to, well, I'm thinking about what am I going to do underneath the words that say let's do this. I don't know if I want to leave them like that, like they are, so you can see the paint through them, or put another color underneath them. While I was looking for that, I pulled this tree paper back out, and I thought, let me layer some of these, fussy cut out some of these shapes that are kind of duplicate shapes, and just layer them over some of the other areas, just to kind of pop off the treetops and give them a little dimension. So I put this title back on, and I just don't like the word good there. I just don't like the letters. I don't know what it is. Part of it is that I don't think that blue is the right shade of blue. I know it's probably not that different on a video, but in person it just didn't look like the right shade of blue. So I'm gonna not use that. But I picked out a few other stickers and and I used one of those little heart charms that come in the kit, and I'm putting that on the tag. And I wanted to put a place for my date, which in my final picture I realized I forgot to actually stamp the date on it, but I have done it since. So my final picture doesn't show the date on there, but I stamped the date on that little yellow strip that's on top of the photo. And here's where I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to back this die cut phrase with. I tried the dark color again, and there I even tried the purple, and I thought I was going to use the purple, but there's no other purple on the page, and I felt like, oh, if I use it there, then I'm going to have to add in purple in other places, and I just don't want to do all that. And then I decided to try it over this piece of paper that has kind of the two-tone blues there, which kind of show up in the trees, and I really like how that looks. So I'm going to go ahead with this two-toned, the striped blue. And the stripes go right down the middle of the cut file there. So I took the word good off. Well, I tried it up here first, still didn't like it. I'm going to take it off, and I'm just going to use the thickers as they are. So this was just a couple weeks ago. I think it was like February 24th maybe. And it was a beautifully warm, so unseasonably warm day. And I got to go running outside. That's me and my mom in the background, and my daughter and my mom's dogs, who my daughter just adores, and they're great dogs. They really are. And I did about 3.5 miles and ran with one of them at the park, and my dad played with the kids at the playground, and my mom took the other dog for a walk, and we just had a really nice day. So it was a fun day, and we did it all before noon, and then it started pouring rain, and it hasn't been that warm since, and now we have like 3 feet of snow. So anyway, okay, so I went and took off the word good, and I put in Funday, because that's kind of what it was for all of us, a fun day. And I didn't have a yellow end, so I just used a different color, which was kind of fun, and just made it a little bit, funky, so I like that. And then I decided I wanted to add a little bit more black and white in. So I actually took some of the tissue paper that the kit comes wrapped in, and it's white with black polka dots, and I used that for one of my clouds. And I love how it's kind of see-through, because it's tissue paper and has the black and white spots though. And then this is just some black and white washi tape with little hearts on it from my stash, and I put that underneath the title. And again, that's just to help bring some black and white throughout the page. And then some twine that I put through the tag and the little charm. And that twine is kind of a greenish color, which is super, super pretty. And I'm going to go back through and glue this all down. And off camera, I do add some stitching. I add some black lines along the angles of the pattern paper, and then I add some kind of teal blue lines along some of the other elements across the top of my photo and across the title and across the clouds. And I was having my tape runner here got all gummed up, and it had this big chunk of gummed up adhesive on it, so I had to kind of clean it out. And I'm going to add a little bit liquid adhesive there too, just for reinforcement. I am loving this kit so much. It's such a beautiful kit, and it's just like this page when I look at it, it's so pastel and like really just kind of light and springy, but some of the other colors are just so bold and dark in the kit, and so there's just so many looks you could get with this kit. I'm loving this, and the April kit too. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to use that one as well. So we got to go check out these kits in the Clique Kit store. And please participate in this challenge. The sketch is optional. You can win, I believe, a gift card to the cut shop this month. That's the prize. So again, I will put a link to the challenge. And there is my finished page. And you can see the stitching I added in there and some close-ups of those cut files. And that's that. So thanks so much. Hope you enjoyed this second video for the day, and stay tuned for more pages with Clique Kits kits coming up soon. Have a great week. Bye-bye.